Hey everybody, Dan Young here with Dan's Millionaire Code, and every week I bring you a super, mega, massive Jedi, and today's Jedi is awesome. I had a chance to be in his podcast, to hang out with his people. Super awesome dude. Jason Walton, super founder of 5 different pest control brands. He's opened over 40 office locations, and he does over like $200 million a year, and he's just amazing. Dude, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Dan. It's good to be here.
So let's talk about how you got to where you are, man. You're like the pest control Jedi, like how did you get there? How did you become so differentiated and so awesome? Like, tell us about your beginnings.
Yeah, so the beginnings, I was actually just a student at BYU in Provo, and I saw an ad in the newspaper where you could make $10,000 in a summer. And so I applied to that ad, and then I talked to all my roommates and everyone I knew about door-to-door sales.
Whoa.
And nobody had heard of it. I'm dating myself here. So this is before anyone was selling solar. It's before security systems, and it was really at the beginning of pest control. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up hiring with a company. I think the whole door-to-door industry, I'm guessing, was maybe the summer before I did it was probably 60 people.
Wow.
Yeah, whereas now it's thousands and tens of thousands. But so after that first summer, I stayed with the company I was with, and we had a total of 16 salespeople, and then we started expanding. We sold for Dewey Pest Control and Orkin Pest Control, and by the time I graduated, I was the vice president in charge of the company, and we thought we were huge because we had 160, 170 salespeople.
It's a lot, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So graduated from college, got my degrees in accounting, and I said I want to get an MBA. And I was looking at work experience, and I thought I had some job offers that I thought could have got me into maybe some top tier business schools, but I grew up so poor. I really wanted to be out of debt.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I'll just start a pest control company. I'll do it for 3 years. I'll sell it. That'll be my work experience, and I can probably get into a second tier business school. So as I did, my first one was called Mayday Pest Control, and nice. I did it in Dallas and had one in Atlanta. Had a partner. Sold that, and then instead of going into business school, I decided, you know what, I could do that way better and way bigger. And so that's why I started Moxie. I started in December of 2020.
It's been a while then.
So the first time we put on customers was the summer of 2001.
Wow.
So right when I hit my maximum debt load, we had the 2001 disaster.
Oh geez.
Yeah. Right as I was hitting maximum debt. And so anyway, that went okay. I had branches in Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, and Atlanta. And then my son Joshua was born, and he was born really prematurely, like 25 weeks. Mm-hmm. Had massive injuries as a result of being born early, to where all the medical people wanted to take him off life support. When we didn't do that, we had to spend 3 years with him doing structured therapy for like 10 to 12 hours a day.
Oh,
the reason I say that is because business-wise, that meant I couldn't keep scaling my business, so I sold all the customer lists to Terminex.
Oh, wow.
And then for 3 years, I kind of let people in a pretty casual way go start Moxie shared ownership models. They're not really franchise, but shared ownership. And I thought I was done. To me, it was just I'm taking care of mine, and then I'm going to be done. Mm-hmm. 3 years went by. I moved to San Diego from Dallas, and I started a pest control branch there because I didn't know what else to do. But really, I spent like 5-6 years thinking maybe I'm going to switch industries.
Yeah.
And after a while, I just started. I got the passion again for redoing the brand. It's just really hard to build a company to a certain size, sell it, and then be excited about starting all over again.
Oh, it's like pushing reset on the video game.
Yeah. So it was really only about 8 or 9 years ago now that I really decided that I was going to do it on a larger scale again.
Wow.
Yeah. So
now, how many reps you have? Like a lot.
Oh, this summer we should have at least 1,200.
That's a lot of.
It's more than 165.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super. You, I noticed when we did some stage stuff together, and you teach a lot. You kind of do like almost like stage mentoring, and you got all the young people there, and they're super pumped to see you. And you teach
thanks.
them stuff. What are you doing now? How does that work? Like, is that part of like Moxie, or separate from that, or kind of hybrid, or?
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So I mean, like usually when I'm at my facilities, if it's with the salespeople, which I think is what you're referring to down in Provo, Yeah, I do regular mentoring, and it's mainly it's on two or three subjects, but one of them is principle-centered living. I just really think that, knowing who you are, what you're about, what you stand for is really important, especially for the young people that tend to sell, to be on the sales side of the organization. And then we also talk about actually how to sell, and how to with a huge emphasis on doing it with integrity.
No, that's important.
Meaning, we don't believe that you should convince somebody to do something that you don't think's in their best interest.
That's smart.
I think that's just the root of selfishness and evil. And maybe I would think that's one of the main things that's wrong with our industry, maybe any industry in sales, is that if you think that something's in someone else that's not in their best interest and you're willing to convince them to do it, what does that say about you?
Yeah.
And then the third thing is just business applications. But it's not just the salespeople. We just see that in Provo. But when I'm traveling around, I have the same passion. The truth, Dan, is like in Utah, everyone talks about sales, but I think of myself and our organization as a pest control business and a customer service business. The sales is secondary.
Exactly.
And it's absolutely secondary. And so I'm really, really passionate about doing those same trainings for everybody in the organization.
We kind of, we've been doing this computer thing since the 90s, right? And you've been doing this thing for a long time, too. Like, it wasn't instant overnight success for either one of us, right?
Yeah.
But that was a big, actually, shift in our model. We rewrote our scripts of when we talk to customers, try to, and really instead of selling computers, it became, what do you want to do? What are some of the problems you have? How can we solve those problems? And then there's really no selling, actually, as necessary. People are like, oh, okay, well, I need that because it'll help my life be better, right?
Yeah.
That's actually the easy way, but I think it's kind of weird seeing a lot of other CEOs out there still doing it kind of the old way, where it's like salesy instead of, hey, problem, solution, it's a perfect match, right?
Yep, I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it's interesting though. But I guess maybe that's just maturity though. I felt like when I was younger, I just had to like purely entertain, and sell them stuff. But now people sell themselves, right? It sounds like in your business, it's like you got a lot of momentum, and it's kind of perpetuating your culture.
Yeah. I think in my industry, there's a lot of people who literally are just a build and sell model, and so the way they even do the pitch is, we're going to build this and sell it in 5 years. And we could. I'm not going to do we could do the whole segment on the problems with that. Mm-hmm. But if you just think about that from a customer standpoint or from an employee standpoint, how are people going to be motivated that that's a career? Mm-hmm. And just everything that you structure changes in a way that I would argue is not very good for the customer.
Yeah.
When the plan is just to build and sell.
That's right.
Right. So, I'm a little bit of an enigma in my industry because instead of running around like the other CEOs, at least that do like a summer sales program saying bigger, faster, mm-hmm. I'm saying, hey, let's have the wisdom to realize that hyper growth is the enemy to premium quality.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to scale quality, doing it really, really fast is problematic.
Yeah, I can feel you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, we are about the customer experience, and that's one of the things that's perpetuated us, given us our good market position, is we're not building to sell it, and we're building to be the premium pest control service provider in the space, and people respond to that. And this is something I haven't really said publicly, but I'll tell you now.
All right.
In the door-to-door industry, people come and switch each other's accounts over, meaning I'll knock on Dan's door and you have company. Why? Okay. And I say, hey, switch to Moxie. You should use Moxie. And then I get you to switch. So I have kept the data that when I raise customers' prices, I know how many of them will cancel. And but if somebody switches you from me to another company, I've kept the data that like you will gladly pay a higher price when your contract's up to come back.
Oh yeah.
And so my point is even when people switch our customers, they're actually helping me raise prices.
That's the same with us.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, right. No, exactly.
I mean, it should be a race of higher quality customer experience, and then it's a given, and it's worth it for them, right? It's a value exchange. That's really good, right?
Yeah, I just think, again, as you're scaling it, you have to keep in mind, at least I do for my business, that it's the customer, it's the customer, it's the customer. And so you have to make to be the best solution and provide the best value to the customer. And that has to be, you have to be living and eating and breathing that. If all you're doing is living and eating and breathing sales, then that's going to be problematic, in the from the customer's perspective.
And there's this question I always like to ask everybody is, what's your biggest beating you've ever took in your financial business career? Or in life, massive beating,
Well, massive beating in lives are always death of loved ones. I lost a daughter a year ago. Of course, when my son was born early, that was pretty tough. My brother, who's been my creative director for 20 years, just passed away in January.
Yeah.
Those things, to me, dwarf any type of business
Those
beating.
are hard, yeah.
Any type of business beating. I would say probably the biggest beating I took was early on when I learned about another reason why you need to take care of the customers, not focus on sales. And we were growing really, really fast. But when you're growing fast like that, and this is what I'm saying, that hyper growth is the enemy to quality, you're almost just grabbing any body you can and training them to answer the phone really fast, or training them to do pest control really fast, and then trying to convince yourself that they're doing good work.
No.
Boy, that's just not going to happen, right? And so this would have been back in 2002, 2003. And our customer retention in Dallas was not good as a result. And I was getting, I remember getting bank calls, cash calls from the banks saying, hey, it's time to pay us back, pay down your debt. And here I am still trying to grow and scale. And I think that's probably the hardest situation I was ever in. I was fine. It only lasted for a month or two, but it was stressful, and it also helped me learn that, for this business to actually work, you have to, what you do, solve the customer's problems. If you're not going to solve the customer's problems, the customers in the long run will always let you know.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing? The customers are always going to let you know the truth. Doesn't matter what you're marketing or what you're putting out to the media or what you're saying. That stuff might give you short-term benefit, meaning customers will take a look at you, they'll give you a shot. But if you're not actually solving their problems and meeting their needs, if someone else will do it better, then the customers are going to let you know.
Exactly.
Because that's who we work for.
That's important, huh?
Yeah.
You and I have been through a few cycles. So early 2000s, 2008-9 cycle, recent COVID cycle. And we're here. We're growing, right? So,
Yeah.
What I would love to do is share your experience with the people that are thinking to become entrepreneurs or who are entrepreneurs out there. What are some of the things that you learned through the last few cycles to keep scaling and actually even grow during down economic times?
Wow, there's a few things. One of them I would say, because you asked me that question, is a long-term question, right? Because we've been through a few cycles. Something I think that maybe young people don't think about is choose your industry carefully.
Yeah.
Meaning you chose PCs that weren't going anywhere, whether the economy was good or whether it was bad. People tend to think that pest control, people aren't going to do it when the economy's bad. That's not true. Other than public speaking, fear of pests is the number one fear in the world.
Aren't they're at home more, right? So they have to deal with bugs,
people have jobs, then they're going to keep their pest control. It's not something, it does very, very, very well. The old school pest control companies did well through the Depression.
Wow. So it was good. This last cycle here,
yep,
it was awesome.
It's always been stable and good. So it's a little bit worse. It tracks kind of like with the unemployment rate, but it's good. So the first thing is choose your industry. I'll have people who will start their business and it'll have something to do with the airline industry, and it's dependent that the airline industry doesn't have a glitch over a 15-year period. And if it does have a glitch, that's kind of foreseeable, right? I'm just saying, choose your industry wisely, because if you're looking to do a 10 or 15-year play and you're counting on that industry not having a hiccup for 10 to 15 years, or you're going to go under, then just realize you're taking a pretty big risk.
I got to ask you a question on this, too, because one thing I've noticed, I'm just thinking back retrospectively to the last few cycles, it seemed like a lot of our competitors, when there's a fear cycle, the CEOs of some of our competitors went into a fear cycle themselves, which trickled down to their whole culture.
Yeah.
And it was weird seeing certain people I know in the industry, sales dropped 50%. And then they said, how you guys doing? We're up 300%.
Yep, we grew as well.
Just because of that mentality of leadership, right? It's should we be scared or should we go offense? What was your offensive plan? I think, obviously you agree. So you went on the offense, and a lot of your competitors went on the defense.
Well, so the two other answers to the first question, which lead into this one, which is like, what advice do I have for people to go through cycles? One is have cash on hand when you think that there's going to be a downturn. Mm-hmm. So like, it's nice to do that. So instead of me sometimes investing money more aggressive in the stock market, I'll keep a certain amount of cash on hand that's just very, very liquid, like waiting for the downturn to happen. Secondly is like fortunes are made in downturns. Mm-hmm. So realize that like if you're playing the long game, like there is going to be bad economic times. And so if you know that and you're planned for it, then you can capitalize on it. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what I did, what the plan was. And so knowing that my industry did well in downturns, I kept cash on hand, found that like, everything became cheaper, when the downturns happened, and I made my biggest investments in growth and pest control with the cash that I had on hand, and then it paid off.
It's like a buffet in a downturn, really, because like real estate, luxury items, I mean, everything is like half price, right?
Everything's on sale. Yeah.
It was weird that like
cash is king. If you have it, then you can do something. If you don't,
it's so weird though that like the stock market was almost like 50% off for a minute there, and right now cryptocurrencies, 40% plus down. Like people are sitting in the midst of it, but it's weird how like once it takes a run up back to normalcy, that's when everyone like starts deploying their capital in and taking risk, right? Because it's like, well, so right now we're actually sitting in some weirdness, right? A little bit of weirdness, right?
Yep, very much so.
What does your crystal ball say? Like,
well, my
crystal ball readings.
My crystal ball, I would have said 3 or 4 years ago, would have been that before I saw. Anyway, I would have incorrectly said I think real estate's going to have a problem because I thought the economy was gonna kind of go south, and I was wrong. Obviously, interest rates going to practically nothing is going to help prop up real estate and the economy. But I think I just don't see how this can run forever. So I mean, what I've been doing is keeping cash on hand. We've been on a nice 13, 14, 15 year run, and I'm ready for the sale. I'm getting ready for everything to go on sale. I hear everybody keeps buying real estate everywhere and buildings all over the place, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, let's see how things are in 2 or 3 years. Because in 2 or 3 years, if it's the same price, I'll have more cash anyway from the business. Mm-hmm. And if stuff goes on sale, I'll both have more cash, and it'll be cheaper. Mm-hmm. So I'm waiting for a sale.
It's always good to have some powder to hand, but inflation's like crazy, right?
Scared about that.
That's why I've been like doing this push to go into crypto. We're launching our fund and things. Just because having powder available is good, though, but you don't want it to be like a melting popsicle in the sun either, right? Because if, let's say, it's melting, the government says it's melting at 7%, it's probably melting at 15%.
Agreed.
Or 20 or
yeah,
something.
I agree.
It was crazy. It was like, I ordered DoorDash the other day. I just ordered McDonald's or something, right? My daughter was like, I'll get the McDonald's. And it was like, for like 3 people, like $42. $42 for McDonald's. And I felt like an old dude because I was like, man, I swear, like, you could get a Happy Meal for your kid and a few things for like $15 like a minute ago.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? But it's like a slow erosion, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, what's with wages and everything going up, I'm not saying that's good or bad, but it's going to lead to more inflation, right? Mm-hmm. And so hopefully everybody ends up in a better place. Wow. Wherever we, when after prices go on their run. But I'm with you, and that's why I want in your fund. So I need to get in your fund. I just am going to keep cash on hand because I'm going to keep starting pest control branches. So
that's the way to go. And are you in the subscription model? Like people pay monthly, like a cable TV or whatever it is?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
that's smart. Subscription really for valuations though is the key, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, I'm not out trying to have my company valued. I have on a very regular basis, investors or private equity groups come in and make offers to come in and be a partner. I just don't see the need for me right now. But yeah, subscriptions seems to attract attention and people seem to see value in it.
I'm gonna get a little bit into my red pill crystal ball zone here of the Matrix.
Cool.
I see some interesting things that are scary predictions. Not just scary, but also an opportunity. There's gonna be a huge separation of class like ancient Rome. Ray Dalio talks about that in his book. We've all probably read that.
Yep.
But the big thing is computers, in the industry we're in, AI, automation, are going to replace in the next decade probably half of the labor jobs. I believe. Robotics, we're going to replace warehouse workers, Uber drivers, taxi drivers. You saw what happened there.
Yeah.
They're all going to be drone based. Even my friend is building like millions of square feet for Amazon. I'm like, what are those little portal holes like in the buildings? Oh, that's for drones. So like Amazon will deliver stuff to your house.
They're already building buildings with that in mind.
Yeah, like you drive down near the airport here in Salt Lake, and you're like, why are there like drone ports, like hundreds of them? Because they're drone ports. What that means though is like, for the bulk of delivery drivers even out there, that's going to probably cut it down in the next 10 years, 50%. I mean, I know you got to sometimes angle into a neighborhood through trees or whatever, like, but that's crazy. So I've been talking to friends about like, well, what industries do you want to be in to be more AI tech resistant? And this morning I was talking to another friend about it. And my thought was like anything to do with experiential human interaction. Mm-hmm. So like some of my son's friends are asking, hey, Dan, what should I look at doing? I go, well, Web3, right? Coding stuff, Web3, understanding the process so you can plug in the people. You don't have to necessarily be a coder, but put together the process. Or just charisma, sales. Like being able to help people with problems.
Yep.
That's probably the most resistant job in the next couple decades, maybe. Do you have some insight on that? Like where you would tell the kids?
Well, I agree. I think that everything that's technology related and trying to like get some technical experience, and we're back where you and I were young, everyone's like, you have to get a college degree and a 4-year degree and then a master's degree. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case, right? I think that you do just fine by going and learning your technical expertise. And then I agree with you that sales isn't going anywhere. So that's never going to be completely changed over to AI. I mean, AI will get more involved in it, it already is, but I think that people who know how to have effective customer interactions are going to be well. Then I just have to say, home service businesses aren't going anywhere either, right?
The
because
biggest
of the
deals
customer
we do are like, I'm sitting talking to you,
Yeah.
eating a steak, finding out what your problems are, and
Yeah.
then you need 10,000 computers, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, we'll fix your problems, man.
Yep, sales isn't going anywhere. I think hospitality is not going anywhere. So I think that if you look as you're talking about the separation of classes and of wealth, whatever the wealthy people are buying, I think that's not going anywhere. I think that that's going to increase.
So when you're talking about hospitality, you're talking about like hotels and restaurants?
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, hospitality will scale, but the workforces that clean the floors, check people in and out, serve your burger to you, like that labor job is going to disappear.
Yeah, that's probably the case.
But the like guy or girl that owns the franchise,
Well, the people who are greeting you at the front desk, the people who you're interacting with on the grounds, the people who you're interacting with still in the restaurants, they're still, I think, for any high scale premium interaction, whether it's pest control services, home services, I think human beings are still going to prefer a little bit of interaction when it becomes on a very personal level. So I think that the people at Four Seasons are still going to be experts at helping you have a premium experience, and I think that personal human interaction is not going to go anywhere. But yeah, I think you're right about cleaning the rooms.
I want to shift gears again. So, life extension technology is increasing. Like now, most people like our age would be considered like end of life, like 100 years ago. Like granddad's going he's going to pasture, right? But now, like yourself and me, like I feel like I'm in my 20s. It's fine. My energy's crazy. You got all these things to keep your blood levels good and your blood pressure down.
Yeah.
So lifespans are going to continue to increase. So meaning that if guys like you and me probably have more than half a decade left, whereas usually at our age you maybe have 10 years left. Like, what are you going to do with all that extra time, man, for you? Because more startups or just, I mean, you only can play with your grandkids and great-grandkids so much, and they go to Disneyland so much. What's on your horizon after Moxie, or maybe you still own a piece of it, but you got the president running it or something?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think the passion for the type of teaching. Sorry, my passion is still in teaching. Mm-hmm. My passion in the mission of Moxie is to increase the quality of life, for our teammates, for our customers, and for our communities. And like that actually ties a lot to my personal mission statement, and I don't think that's going to change. So Moxie is a vehicle by which we can teach correct principles and then teach skills where people's lives get better. The more that they're able to harness and live and value those true principles by living them, then it's my experience their lives get better, and in every way.
That vibe's in your building, guys. I went to his building, and there's like all these young people. It's just like it was like a Garden of Eden of nerds, of awesome people, and just kids like collaborating, getting along, and like really good vibes though. And kids weren't like arguing or doing anything weird. They were all like, everyone was pretty chipper.
Yeah,
kind of interesting. I haven't seen that dynamic really with that many kids in one place. Usually there's some drama going on or something.
Yeah, and I would hope that if you visited our pest control branches, because that was a sales office you were in, you'd see the same thing. Mm-hmm. So the people with their different expertise and their different departments, like your department's here, I think that the same vibe is going on. That people are trying to improve and to be, to value true principles by living them, and they find as they live them that work goes better. Yes, they make more money. Yes, they become more capable as they get good at keeping commitments that are principle centered, but their personal lives get better. I'm going to pivot and say for the third act, I really, really want to move that beyond just Moxie.
Okay.
So I really believe that human beings, speaking of these true principles, are meant to that we experience the most happiness and fulfillment, and when we love others and we're kind, pretty much.
That's true.
And so I intend to try to have a big push in my own life of recognizing the opportunities around me to do small and large acts of just kindness, smiling.
Smiling's important.
Helping someone financially when they need a little bit of help, training people who need training, trying to find opportunities for people who otherwise wouldn't have had those opportunities, just meeting needs through small act of kindness and service, of giving your time, your talents, and your energy to make people's lives better. And so in my third act, when you say between now and my longer life, I intend to get involved. And I'm not as interested in getting involved to have a giant administrative organization doing that. I'm more involved in doing it just with me doing it personally, and maybe come up with smaller ways of organizing and motivating other people to do the same.
It's so weird though when we think similar to that, to like shifting to a giving mode and transferring data down to the younger generation, right? So they can do good things. But there's a weird opposing effect, because a lot of times when you do that, you're thinking, okay, I'm not focused really as much just money. I'm focused on giving now at this point in my life, and cool. But the weird thing is when you shift into that giving mode, the money exponentially starts coming in like magically from like God, like just starts going here, like karma, like whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
It's just a strange thing. And I've talked to like hundreds of friends like our age that making that shift, and they all have the same result pretty much, like on the financial end, even though that's not the priority.
Yep.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's like you said. I think it's karma. I think that like things come around. So what you put out comes back to you. And I really believe that like-minded people are attracted to each other. So that like if you really have other people's best interest in mind and you're trying to help them, that's going to attract people who want to do the same with you. People are going to want to be around you. So if once somebody's monetary needs are met, or if their safety needs are met, there's a hierarchical needs issue. People want to be used.
Oh yeah.
And people want to be loved, and human beings are meant. This couch is meant to be sat on, and it's meant to be comfortable, and it fills the needs of its creation when it's sat on and then we're comfortable right now. Mm-hmm. Human beings are meant to serve other people, work hard, and be happy. That's we have an innate need for that. I didn't make it up. I'm just recognizing it. Mm-hmm. And so I think the more that we can do that, the more we're going to find our own fulfillment. And I think the more we can help lift other people through, like you said, teaching, small acts of kindness, love, like genuinely love for the sake of that we love other people. I mean, you're so nice to me, Dan. Like every time I see you, you're kind, you say good things, you share information with me. That makes me want to be around you. Well, so it makes me I want to share it with you.
You know why Chinese people bow to each other? Do you know why?
No.
My dad told me this. He goes, this is for like Buddhism and all that. He's like, the deity in me acknowledges the deity in you, right? So like all people, wherever they are, money-wise, materialistic-wise, wherever they are, like we're all the same value as a soul, you know?
Yeah.
And so if you just treat everyone like some exalted God, then that they are, then people can feel that. And then they treat you like an exalted one, and then that's just like good mojo.
It is.
You know, you kind of, it's interesting.
I just think that like that also like, we change the world with every loving and kind act that we do. It makes the world a better place, and the more we can get
and mean acts too, huh?
And the more we can get other people
nicer.
to do that, the more we can get make that a movement to where people are focusing on it. Because in business, sometimes we're focused on just closing the deal, or just getting straight A's, or just this hardcore. Can we just pause and give just 10% of our time of using that mental power that we have of making key commitments to just pause and say, think about things that we're grateful for, and just bathe in those feelings of gratitude. And then when we're feeling them, to genuinely express them. And then go the next step further and recognize opportunities that we have hundreds a day that we don't recognize, where we can just make someone's day a little bit better. Just small acts of kindness.
So here's
and love.
the action items that I've got from you, Jason, is invest at least 10% of your capacity to be kind and help people.
At a minimum.
Is that like the big lesson for the younger people watching this?
Yeah, I think
and older people.
It'll change our character. It'll change who we are, and it will protect us. So I've also, because of what I've done, Dan, I'm 50.
Yeah.
And when I was 34, I counted. I made a list of 50 names of people who I kind of helped mentor that became millionaires. By the time I was 34, I don't know how big that list is now, but I've seen from a perspective that when people get out of balance and they're not principle centered, you can achieve wealth, but I would say not necessarily be happy or not necessarily be successful. So just because you are worth $2 or $3 million, that doesn't mean you're successful. How are your personal relationships? Like, how are things with your family? And an activity I like to have my people do at least once a year is go to an assisted living facility and say, all the direction we give is go meet some people, make some friends, and let's talk about it. And they'll come back and say, I will say, what did you learn? I learned, and nobody ever says, gosh, I wish I had made more money, or hey, I wish I had done this, but they're all talking about their relationships and wish that they'd spent more time, or they wish that they had been basically more loving and kind. Now, circling that back to our original conversation, I do believe that when you apply that into your business relationships, it is still a way to maximize your wealth. I mean, I don't think those things are independent of each other, that you have to be a jerk to people. The whole concept of, hey, when you do something wrong to someone, say it wasn't personal, it's just business. No, I think that is, I hate it. It is a fallacy and a lie. So, like, in my organization...
It is personal, right? I mean, you're personal.
In my organization, when you have to take someone's job away from somebody, sometimes you just have to because of things that happen. To have somebody... If I have a manager who says, yeah, I don't mind doing that, then they need to go work somewhere else. Like, you should mind when you relieve someone's employment. Yeah. Because that's... To say that's just business, that's that person's job. They have to go explain that to their husband or wife and their kids. It's very personal. Oh, yeah. And I think that I really, really despise that statement.
Yeah, that drives me nuts. But usually people that say that statement are being mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Straight out mean.
It's just, they're rationalizing why it's okay to be unethical or mean. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the bad feelings are because of rationalizations, aren't they?
I think so.
All right, man. Out of respect of your time, I just want to share with everybody like where they can find you, your company. Where's the best place for people to say hi to you? See what you're doing.
Yeah, so you can see where I'm doing at my Jason J. Walton on my Instagram, and I also have a Jason Walton, which I changed to Jason J. Walton podcast that you were on last week.
I'll put some links here too, guys.
Yeah, we're also at MoxiePestControl.com or MoxieServices.com, both, as we're expanding into other services.
I'm going to call you. I was talking to my daughter the other day. She's like, we got a bug problem in the backyard. Remember I was telling you she took the flames to try to get rid of the black widows that were trying to eat the dog?
We need to add those flamethrowers to our trucks.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Do some commercials like that? I can show you how to do those commercials.
That sounds great.
Dude, this is awesome. I sure appreciate you coming on, and this is great. And the big thing I got out of it is just be conscious of taking 10% of your energy to do kind things and help people, right?
Yeah. Cash flow is king.
Cash flow is king.
Yeah. People go out of business because they run out of money.
That's true, huh? Man, I appreciate you coming on, Jason. All right. Guys, you've watched Dansmillionairecode podcast this week, and Jason's just awesome. Make sure you go visit him and all the links that I'm going to post below. And he's like me, man. He really, really wants to just help, care about you, and those things. And I only ask that you guys do two things, because you notice you're not paying for this podcast, but you do got to pay in one way. One, you got to execute. Watch this over. Execute what you've learned today. Two, please share it on your feed so we can help other people during these times. You do those two things, awesome. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next week on the podcast.